breaking Meghan and Harry under fire, amidst explosive financial scandal. What began as a tale of royal defiance and fresh independence has spiraled into shocking allegations involving massive financial misconduct. Are Meghan and Harry on the brink of arrest? In this video, we uncover the latest jaw-dropping updates, delving into suspicious transactions, questionable deals, and hidden money trails. Stay tuned as we unravel every detail of this breaking story. What's your take on Meghan and Harry's financial drama? Think an investigation is coming? Drop a 1 in the comments, if not leave a 0. Enjoy the video and don't forget to subscribe to support the channel. Recently, the documentary Where Has the Money Gone has sparked widespread attention by exploring the Sussexes' lives. The film poses the question, were you lucky to get a job, highlighting Prince Harry's struggle to adjust to life outside the royal family. Meanwhile, Meghan, known for the carefully crafted image she's built, now faces major life changes. Just a few years after announcing their decision to step back from royal duties for a more ordinary life, they're now living in a multi-million-dollar mansion complete with lavish amenities and top-tier security. Meghan once said they left the royal family to live a normal life, but the reality tells a different story. They now live in a $14.6 million Montecito estate, secured by electronic gates, armed guards, and round-the-clock protection. Their lifestyle mirrors that of Hollywood royalty, Meghan in pricey evening gowns and driving an armored Range Rover, while Harry earns millions from paid speaking gigs. This reality sharply contrasts the public image they crafted, struggling, resource-limited individuals relying on friends. What's puzzling is that after stepping away from the royal family and claiming they were financially cut off, Meghan and Harry have secured multi-million-dollar deals with giants like Netflix and Spotify. They've also inked a lucrative memoir contract with Penguin Random House. This has raised questions: how are they earning such huge sums? The contradiction becomes even clearer when recalling Meghan's tearful Oprah interview, where she said she had to lean on friends for support. A controversial aspect of Netflix's documentary is how it uses Princess Diana's personal memories and image not to honor her, but as a business strategy to attract viewers and investors. Many are questioning whether this is exploiting Diana's pain and legacy for profit. Rather than a healing tribute, it appears more like monetizing grief, a calculated move within their PR playbook. Meghan and Harry's lives today have evolved beyond the tale of two young people chasing a fresh start. Instead, they showcase how every aspect, from personal emotions to family stories, can be turned into financial capital. This prompts a crucial question: is their path truly one of self-discovery, or simply a savvy business strategy that leverages emotions and family legacy for profit? Crafted by some of Hollywood's sharpest minds, Meghan and Harry's story has shifted from palace loneliness and tragedy into a sprawling commercial empire. From the emotional moments in their groundbreaking Oprah interview to the showcase of their lavish Montecito mansion lifestyle, every element has been used to build their brand. They've transformed personal hardship into assets, spanning memoirs, podcasts, and even a luxury jam line called American Riviera Orchard. Their story goes beyond luxury living. It's a business empire built on commercializing personal memories. Despite Meghan and Harry's claims of having no home or resources after leaving the British royal family just a few years later, they own a multi-million-dollar mansion equipped with modern amenities and high-end security. This sparks a major question: how did they generate such an enormous fortune? Despite signing multi-million-dollar deals with Netflix and Spotify and landing lucrative speaking engagements, questions about the origins and transparency of Meghan and Harry's income have surfaced. Financial authorities in both the UK and US have launched investigations into their earnings. Suspicion has grown around anonymous donations, shell companies, and financial transactions routed through tax havens such as the Cayman Islands and Luxembourg. Financial experts suspect Meghan and Harry may be using strategies to convert commercial income into charitable donations to reduce tax liabilities or legitimize funds more easily. While such tactics are common among the ultra-wealthy, it raises serious concerns when applied by a couple who publicly advocate for transparency and fairness, making this a matter that demands careful investigation. Despite securing lucrative contracts, Meghan and Harry's living expenses remain extraordinarily high. Annual security costs alone are estimated between $2 to $3 million on top of upkeep for their Montecito estate, private jet travel, and a full-time staff. Financial analysts are now questioning whether the earnings from their commercial ventures truly cover such an extravagant lifestyle, or if there's an undisclosed source of income quietly supplementing their wealth. Amid unclear income sources and inconsistencies in their financial disclosures, the pressing question remains: where exactly does Meghan and Harry's money come from, and where is it going? This issue goes beyond finances. It touches on transparency and ethics. Despite their public stance advocating for fairness and openness, the methods behind their earnings and expenditures have sparked serious concerns about the legality and morality of their financial practices. The reimbursements were submitted late and seem to have been altered from their original forms, while donation reports don't align with internal expense records, especially large payments made to strategic media firms, some linked to political campaigns. These discrepancies have raised red flags among auditors who now suspect a complex money laundering scheme concealed behind the guise of charity work and media production. This situation highlights the serious transparency issues surrounding Archwell, their charitable foundation. Exactly what began as a heartfelt narrative of healing and breaking free from royal constraints now seems overshadowed by complex financial dealings and a lack of clear transparency. The shift from emotional openness to financial silence raises important concerns. Former financial advisors questioning Archwell's lack of independent audits and incomplete reporting of commercial earnings only deepen public skepticism. This opacity fuels doubts about the true sources and uses of Meghan and Harry's money, challenging the image they initially presented to the world. It's a critical moment where trust and accountability are on the line. Harry and Meghan have built their public image around stories of personal pain, trauma, and victimhood, framing themselves as victims of the monarchy, racism, and rigid traditions. While this narrative has connected deeply with many, the constant use of their struggles in media, deals, speeches, and branding raises questions about whether they are authentically sharing their journey or strategically commodifying their pain for financial gain. This blending of personal trauma with business interests creates a complicated dynamic where it's difficult to separate genuine healing from a carefully crafted brand fueling public skepticism about their true intentions. As their empire expands, financial investigators have begun closely scrutinizing Meghan and Harry's money trails, signaling that this situation may escalate beyond a mere PR crisis into a high-stakes legal battle. Rumors within financial circles are intensifying, with growing concerns that the controversy could lead to serious criminal charges, transforming the media spectacle into a courtroom showdown with potentially far-reaching consequences. With a tax discrepancy exceeding $250,000, Harry and Meghan face serious legal jeopardy. If investigations prove they intentionally used shell companies to launder illegal income, the case could be escalated to the U.S. Department of Justice, potentially resulting in federal criminal charges carrying sentences of up to 20 years in prison. Unlike in the UK, where public sympathy might sway outcomes, the U.S. legal system treats reputation as irrelevant in criminal matters. With solid evidence of tax fraud, they could be arrested without leaving the country, and subpoenas might be issued within days, signaling a swift and severe legal response. The growing financial investigation and potential legal troubles surrounding Meghan and Harry are adding layers of complexity to their situation, raising a crucial question: what impact will their arrest have on the British royal family? These developments extend beyond just the couple threatening to cast a shadow over the monarchy itself. How the situation is managed, especially in terms of transparency and fairness, could influence public trust and the future stability of the royal institution. Meghan and Harry's journey has evolved from deeply personal stories of pain and resilience to building a lucrative brand and business empire. Yet as their emotional narratives give way to silence and commercial ventures, growing concerns about financial transparency have emerged. Irregularities such as questionable reimbursements, inconsistent donation records, and discrepancies in financial reporting have fueled widespread skepticism, casting doubt on the true nature of their earnings and expenditures. The media has shifted from sympathy to satire, with shows like South Park and comedians like Chris Rock mocking Meghan and Harry, turning their once poignant stories of victimhood into mere branding fodder. If the financial allegations against them are proven true, they could face severe legal consequences, alongside the total collapse of their personal brand, losing media partnerships, and their remaining royal prestige. Their reputation risks becoming a global cautionary tale, potentially erasing their careers and legacy altogether. Thank you so much for watching. If you're among the millions questioning the truth behind the financial allegations against Meghan and Harry, drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think their personal brand is on the brink of collapse? Leave a 1 if you believe this downfall is coming, or a 0 if you see it differently. Don't forget to hit like, share the video, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss our upcoming deep dive analyses. If the money laundering and tax fraud allegations against Meghan and Harry are confirmed, Buckingham Palace will face an unprecedented media storm. This scandal wouldn't just damage the reputation of a former royal couple, but could also deeply shake the very foundation of the British monarchy. The involvement of a former heir to the throne in such serious financial misconduct would be a major blow to the royal family's dignity, especially at a time when the monarchy is working hard to modernize and regain public trust. If the situation escalates, Parliament might take the unprecedented step of stripping Harry of his royal titles, not merely as a symbolic act, but as a strategic move to safeguard the monarchy's integrity. This possibility grows stronger if an international criminal case unfolds, threatening to taint the entire royal family's reputation. In such a scenario, the monarchy could also quietly exclude Harry and Meghan's children from the line of succession, especially if their parents face convictions or lose inheritance rights, all in an effort to protect the institution's future. The rift between Harry and the royal family, once appearing to heal, has now widened into a deep chasm that jeopardizes both the family's reputation and the monarchy's stability. Without decisive and transparent action, the public's perception risks shifting from respect for nobility to suspicion of complicity. The fragile trust the British monarchy holds could collapse like a house of cards, leaving the institution vulnerable to lasting damage if it fails to respond firmly and transparently. Meghan and Harry's journey from their explosive Oprah interview to their documentary series and memoir Spare has sparked widespread skepticism about media manipulation. The carefully curated narratives and polished storytelling have caused many to question their authenticity. If their pain were genuine, some argue they might seek privacy rather than maintain a constant media presence. Instead, their ongoing visibility has led critics to believe they are leveraging personal struggles to build a profitable brand. Ultimately, the public's sympathy has limits. Repeated heartbreaking stories risk losing their impact, and audiences are starting to turn away. Meghan and Harry now face a greater danger than ever before when people feel deceived. Empathy fades, and with it the support that once surrounded them. Meghan and Harry have expertly transformed their royal background into a continuous source of media content, using their personal story to fuel a powerful brand and career. What began as poignant accounts of pain and struggle within royal life has evolved into them becoming the architects and storytellers of their own carefully crafted narrative. Despite stepping away from royal duties, they still capitalize on their Duke and Duchess titles in every deal and public appearance. While they claim to have moved beyond the throne, they undeniably harness its prestige to bolster their fame and business ventures. Meghan and Harry have crafted a powerful brand centered around healing and overcoming pain. But the truth is, when pain becomes a business model, it can never truly be left behind. Over time, the repeated telling of these emotional stories starts to lose their impact as the public begins to see the media manipulation behind them. What once seemed like a fight for justice now feels more like a strategy to gain attention, generate income, and remain relevant in the media. What started as charity visits has now evolved into lifestyle campaigns, healthcare initiatives, and even luxury fashion collaborations. These endeavors stand in stark contrast to the image of individuals who once claimed to shun the spotlight. Their brand isn't built on core values but on their ability to generate attention. As the spotlight intensifies, so does their income. However, the absence of financial transparency and the way they've constructed their brand have sparked questions from both the public and financial investigators. Harry and Meghan have turned their pain into a multi-million-dollar brand, but the lack of financial transparency has raised concerns. Financial investigators are now scrutinizing their transactions, including shell companies and murky money flows. Questions are surfacing about the legitimacy of their income, their business partners, and the nature of the transactions involving them. Are their earnings truly above board? Who is behind the scenes managing their finances? Could they be exploiting legal loopholes to move money without attracting attention? One of the biggest contradictions in Meghan and Harry's narrative is their claim of being financially cut off, all while enjoying the lavish lifestyle of Hollywood royalty. This stark contrast has caught the attention of legal authorities because when you build a multi-million-dollar brand centered around scarcity and suffering, the last thing you want is for tax authorities to start asking questions. The investigation goes beyond just their actions. It's about who they're partnering with and whether they're deceiving the public and financial institutions in the process. Meghan and Harry may have created a powerful brand around their personal story, but the lack of transparency in their finances, relationships, and business strategies could lead to an uncertain future. If these suspicions prove true, they could face not only a media crisis but also a serious legal challenge. Their brand isn't just built on the narrative of pain. It's also a system being constructed and managed through questionable financial strategies. The story of Meghan and Harry, once seen as symbols of hope and compassion, has now evolved into a case study of brand building from wounds and pain. What were once human stories behind palace walls have transformed into an endless stream of content exploited by the media to create a brand and generate profit. The deals hastily arranged to maintain the illusion of progress are beginning to unravel as the public starts to notice the repetitive narratives and the lack of genuine commitment to their new ventures. The image of Harry, once the beloved prince admired around the world, has undergone a dramatic transformation. We all remember when he was the brave soldier in the Afghan desert, the grieving son mourning the loss of his mother, Princess Diana. However, that image has now been shattered. Harry is no longer the courageous soldier or the sympathetic son that the public once adored. Instead, he's slowly losing himself in the pursuit of fame, becoming a public figure who capitalizes on his pain, turning his personal struggles into a commodity content to have his wounds sold as content. The image of Harry, once the cherished prince adored by people worldwide, has undergone a significant shift. We remember him as the brave soldier in the Afghan desert, the sorrowful son mourning the loss of his mother, Princess Diana. Yet that image has now been shattered. Harry is no longer the courageous soldier or the sympathetic son the public once admired. Instead, he is slowly losing himself in the pursuit of fame, evolving into a public figure who profits from his pain, turning his personal struggles into a product content to see his wounds sold for attention. The tears for Princess Diana. The pain that was once shared so publicly have now morphed into a strategy to attract investors. The public once mourned alongside Harry, but now they are starting to question, is that sorrow truly genuine or just another part of a commercialization plan? These questions not only raise ethical concerns, but also legal ones. When pain is turned into a product to be sold, doubts arise about the true intentions behind their ventures, from memoirs to media programs. The issue is no longer simply, are they breaking the law, but are they deliberately manipulating the public for financial gain? Financial investigators are broadening their focus beyond just tracking the flow of money. They are now delving into potential contract breaches and the improper use of charitable funds. If money intended for non-profit purposes is being redirected into personal ventures, it could spell major trouble for Harry and Meghan. While no illegal activity has been proven, so far as financial regulators dig deeper, the question is shifting from whether they've broken the law to whether they've intentionally exploited the situation for personal gain. The story of Harry and Meghan has evolved beyond a simple family feud or media war. It has transformed into a critical matter of financial transparency and accountability. As the money trails grow murky and financial decisions raise concerns about tax evasion and avoidance, public trust will inevitably begin to wane. If Harry and Meghan fail to demonstrate transparency and integrity in their financial dealings, their credibility will erode and trust in them may not endure for much longer. The story of Meghan and Harry has evolved from a quest for independence and rebellion into a carefully crafted strategy using public trust as a tool for manipulation. In an era where truth and ethics are in higher demand than ever, transforming a charitable image into a means of gaining attention is fast becoming a harmful narrative. While these messages may be gaining influence, the question remains, do they promote genuine transparency, or are they simply a clever ploy? Public opinion about Meghan and Harry is becoming more polarized. One group of loyal supporters defends their every action, praising them for being smart, necessary, and even inspirational. On the other hand, many others are growing weary, overwhelmed by the constant flow of personal revelations, ongoing legal battles, and repeated media deals. What was once seen as new and captivating has started to feel predictable. The underlying question is gaining traction. What are they really striving for? Are Meghan and Harry genuinely working to establish a lasting legacy beyond the monarchy, or are they merely grasping for public attention at any price? Are they truly seeking new sources of power, or are they simply trying to weather a financial storm beyond their control? As the rumors swirl, there's increasing talk that their legal team is bracing for every possibility, from tax audits and public record investigations to subpoenas, and potentially even court testimony if things escalate further. As the truth starts to emerge from the suspicious money trails to the carefully crafted persona of perpetual victims, the polished brand they've built is beginning to crumble. If they are indeed running from an impending financial collapse, what lies ahead isn't a legacy, but a delicate balance between freedom and consequences. This is no longer just a power struggle or a media spectacle, it's a confrontation with reality itself. Thank you for sticking with us until the end. If, like millions of others, you're wondering whether this is all just a power play, a media strategy, or if the truth will finally be revealed, make sure to subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for our upcoming analyses. Because beneath those bright smiles on Welcome back to the channel. The royal drama continues to unfold, and today we've got some explosive news that you won't want to miss. In a stunning move, Meghan Markle has been hit with royal sanctions, and King Charles has made a ruthless decision that could change everything. What led to this major escalation in tensions within the royal family? Stick around as we dive deep into the shocking developments and what this means for Meghan, the monarchy, and the future of the royal family. Before we dive into the video, I've got a question for you. What do you think about King Charles's decision regarding Meghan Markle? Do you think it's the right move, or is it too harsh? If you think it's the right call, drop a 1, and if not, comment with a 0. Enjoy the video, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to support the channel. Recently, King Charles made a ruthless decision regarding Meghan Markle, a move that even those within the royal family could not have anticipated. This is the latest revelation from an insider source within the British royal family, and it has stirred public opinion. The scandals surrounding Meghan, from her public statements on racism to her alleged exploitation of the royal family's name to build her personal brand, have undeniably had a significant impact on the royal family's reputation. King Charles, it seems, can no longer remain silent. These scandals have not only sparked controversy within the British community, but have also tarnished the reputation of the royal family, an institution that has been built over centuries. The question arises, is King Charles' decision a necessary response to protect the honor of the monarchy, or is he in fact seeking to strengthen his power amid the increasingly tense internal situation? Since joining the British royal family, Meghan Markle has become one of the most controversial figures in the modern history of the monarchy. Her statements and actions have caused turmoil within the royal family. However, instead of remaining silent and respecting traditional principles, Meghan has continuously shared stories that have damaged the royal family's reputation. One of the most shocking scandals was the accusation of racism in her famous interview with Oprah Winfrey, where Meghan revealed that members of the royal family had expressed concerns about the skin color of her son, Archie. This statement triggered a fierce public backlash and placed the royal family in a difficult position. While there is no concrete evidence to substantiate the claim, the impact of these words is undeniable. The question remains, does Meghan truly understand that her statements not only affect her personal reputation, but also cause significant harm to the honor and values of the entire British royal family? In addition to the issue of racism, Meghan has also become embroiled in another controversy involving her family with Harry. Recent rumors about Meghan's pregnancy have sparked public debate. Some people have begun questioning the timing of her pregnancy and how she has kept such personal information private. While these suspicions have not been confirmed, they have painted a vague picture of Meghan's transparency regarding her family life. Another notable aspect of Meghan's journey is the accusation that she has exploited the royal family's name to build her personal brand. Since marrying Prince Harry, Meghan has become a global star, using the attention that the royal family brings to further her career. Deals with major companies like Netflix and Spotify have led many to believe that Meghan has no qualms about leveraging the royal family's fame for personal gain. Although Meghan has defended her choices, public criticism of how she has handled these issues continues to grow. Does she realize that her actions not only reflect her pursuit of personal fame, but also have a significant impact on the royal family's image? Another issue concerning Meghan and Harry is the growing suspicion about their finances. After deciding to step down from royal duties and move to the United States, questions about their financial situation have arisen. Meghan has claimed that she and Harry do not receive any funding from the royal family, but many remain skeptical about their transparency, especially given their participation in high-profile events and signing deals with major companies. The financial situation of Meghan and Harry has raised a major question within the community. Are they truly transparent about their income sources? Or are these events merely a way to sustain a lavish lifestyle despite the royal principles? These scandals have sparked strong criticism from the public and the royal family, prompting many to reflect on how Meghan and Harry handle their finances and personal choices. Meghan's statements and actions have not only caused chaos in her personal life, but have also deeply impacted the image of the royal family. Does Meghan truly understand the consequences of her words and actions, or is she getting caught up in an uncontrollable controversy? These scandals are not only a challenge for Meghan, but also a test for King Charles, who finds himself in the midst of a difficult battle between family loyalty and his commitments to protect the reputation of the royal family. As the head of the British royal family, King Charles cannot allow the ongoing scandals involving Meghan Markle to continue without taking action. He not only must maintain harmony within the family, but also protect the reputation of an institution that has existed for centuries. As Meghan's scandals begin to have a far-reaching impact on the royal family's image, the question arises, can King Charles remain silent, or will he have to act to protect the family's honor after Meghan and Harry step down from royal duties and publicly criticize the family? After Meghan and Harry's famous interview with Oprah Winfrey, King Charles had no choice but to respond. His decision was to take a strong stance against Meghan's accusations. However, this action sparked considerable controversy within the royal family. King Charles showed clear determination in addressing the situation, and his actions were not only seen as a way to protect the royal family's reputation, but also as an assertion of power, proving that he could not allow a family member to publicly criticize and tarnish the image of the entire institution. While many in the royal family have remained silent, King Charles did not hesitate to impose punitive measures on Meghan. Some insiders within the royal family revealed that King Charles decided to adjust the privileges Meghan and Harry once enjoyed and tighten their financial dealings with major companies. This escalated tensions between the two sides. Is King Charles being too harsh in his response to Meghan? Some argue that given the scandals Meghan has caused, these tough measures are necessary, while others believe he could have opted for a more gentle approach rather than resorting to severe punishment. An important question is whether King Charles can achieve long-term results from these firm actions, or if they will only create a permanent rift between the royal family and Meghan, making reconciliation impossible. While his resolve may help protect the royal family from public criticism, it could also cause lasting damage to the relationships within the family. It is noteworthy that King Charles remained silent for a long time before deciding to take action, leading many to believe that he was carefully considering the consequences of this decision. How can a family like the royal family maintain its dignity without causing lasting harm to its members? These challenges become more apparent when looking at the context of the royal family, where every action can lead to significant changes in the power structure and family relationships. In recent years, the private lives of royal family members have never been easy, as they are always under close public scrutiny. As the head of the family, King Charles certainly faces pressure from many sides. However, his firm response to Meghan Markle, particularly in handling the scandals she caused, is clearly a strong signal of how he intends to consolidate power and protect the monarchy from public threats. The unavoidable question is whether these harsh measures will truly help the royal family restore its reputation and dignity, or if they will only widen the gap and cause harm to loved ones within the family. After King Charles made his stern decision regarding Meghan, what stood out was her strong and public response. Instead of showing any signs of regret, Meghan continued to display arrogance and shamelessness in the face of the royal family's decision. While those around her believe Meghan should reflect on her actions and how she handles family matters, she chose to openly confront them. Meghan didn't hesitate to criticize and claim that King Charles's actions violated her personal freedom, refusing to take responsibility and instead blaming the royal family for her and Harry's decision to step down from royal duties. This has left many in the royal community feeling disappointed. The question arises, how can someone continue to criticize a family that has provided them with an extraordinary life? Meghan continues to criticize the royal family without fully realizing how fortunate she is to have become a part of the British royal family. Meghan's character has sparked much controversy since she joined the royal family. She was once recognized for her intelligence and independence, but her recent actions reflect a lack of respect for the core values of the royal family, such as privacy, family respect, and maintaining principles in all circumstances. When someone continuously refuses to take responsibility, do they still deserve respect? This question not only targets Meghan, but also reflects a larger issue in modern society. Celebrities can easily stand up to criticize and oppose, but are they willing to face the consequences of their actions? With her constant statements and refusal to listen, Meghan only complicates the situation further. While she continues to claim she is fighting for freedom and justice, her actions and words paint a less than flattering picture of respect and honesty. Many people believe that Meghan is using public attention to continue building her personal brand rather than addressing family issues peacefully and responsibly. Meghan's response has also shocked the public. Many are perplexed as to why she cannot admit her mistakes, especially when her actions have caused significant damage to the royal family's image. Does Meghan truly understand that what she is doing is wrong and flawed? If she genuinely seeks reconciliation, why has she shown no signs of attempting to apologize or correct her wrongdoings? On the contrary, Meghan's response has only made her more distant and unable to integrate with the values of the family she was once a part of. An undeniable fact is that Meghan is gradually becoming a controversial figure in the eyes of the public. Her decisions have not only strained her relationship with the royal family, but have also harmed her own image. The criticisms in the interview and the public revelations about the royal family's internal matters not only reflect a lack of respect, but also a careless disregard for the consequences her actions may cause. Is Meghan's behavior a deliberate challenge or simply the result of her lack of consideration? Is she losing the opportunity to start fresh and make amends? Her actions are increasingly distancing her from acceptance and integration with the values that the royal family upholds. Meghan Markle seems to be treading a tense path with the royal family without fully understanding the long-term consequences of her shameless actions and words. Her failure to thoughtfully consider the repercussions has created a rift that may be almost impossible to heal within the royal family. Meghan's arrogance and lack of self-awareness not only disappoint family members but also make the British public feel that they can no longer support her. While Meghan continues to defend her stance, she risks losing not only the affection of the royal family, but also the admiration of the public. Before we continue, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think Meghan Markle should reconsider her approach and think more carefully about the consequences of her actions and words? Or do you feel she should continue standing her ground? Share your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Since joining the royal family, Meghan Markle has been a constant source of controversy. However, her lack of respect for the principles and regulations of the monarchy has become more apparent through her contradictory actions and statements. In addition to the public scandals, Meghan has been criticized for acts of deception and disrespect toward the royal family and the public. These actions not only disrespect the family, but also directly challenge the core values that the royal family has upheld for centuries. One of the most notable aspects of Meghan's behavior is her lack of transparency and the contradictions in her statements. In interviews and public speeches, Meghan frequently makes claims and accusations without providing clear evidence to support them. She often contradicts herself, leading both the public and royal family members to question the honesty of her statements. The question arises, does Meghan understand that what she is saying is flawed and incorrect? When someone speaks without verifiable evidence, they not only harm those around them, but also lose the trust of those who once supported them. One of the biggest issues with Meghan's behavior is her constant criticism of the values and principles the royal family has upheld for centuries. While she claims that she has no intention of harming the royal family, her actions suggest the opposite. Her statements about racism, disrespect for tradition, and criticism of royal life have led many to question, is Meghan's behavior a deliberate challenge or is it simply a lack of understanding of the royal family's values? Meghan continues to escalate the issue not only by criticizing family members, but also by publicly sharing private details of her life. Her disclosure of private conversations with the royal family, things that should not be revealed, demonstrates a lack of respect for the family's rules and an insensitivity to others' privacy. When someone continually refuses to take responsibility, do they still deserve the respect of others? If Meghan truly cared about maintaining a peaceful relationship with the royal family, she could have chosen a wiser approach rather than continuing to criticize and expose sensitive issues. One of the major criticisms of Meghan is her failure to recognize the consequences of her words and actions. She not only uses interviews to highlight her own image, but also seems unaware that her words are hurting the members of her family. Every word Meghan says is scrutinized, but instead of using them to address issues constructively, she has turned them into tools to maintain attention and create further division within the royal family. Does Meghan truly understand that her actions not only affect herself, but also tarnish the image of the family she was once a part of? Her lack of respect in her actions is not only reflected in her inability to control her words, but also in her refusal to accept the truth and correct her mistakes. She seems to believe that everything can be solved by covering up the truth or blaming others rather than facing her mistakes and learning from them. This not only harms her, but also seriously impacts the image and values of the royal family. Meghan has not only broken the royal family's rules, but has also tarnished her own image in the eyes of the British public and the world. When looking at Meghan's actions from an objective standpoint, one can't help but wonder, does Meghan truly understand what she has done, or is she simply sinking deeper into arrogance and a lack of self-respect? If Meghan genuinely wants reconciliation and to mend her relationship with the royal family, can she look back and correct the actions that have caused harm, or will she continue down the controversial path, making things even more complicated over time? When King Charles decided to take strong measures against Meghan Markle, there were mixed opinions on whether these actions were truly necessary. His decision not only affected family relationships, but also created significant division within the public. The question raised is whether the steps King Charles took were essential to protect the reputation and dignity of the royal family, or if they were simply a way for him to assert his power in a family filled with conflict. As the head of the royal family, King Charles could not remain silent in the face of the scandals and strong reactions from Meghan. When Meghan and Harry stepped down from royal duties, it created a deep rift within the family, and their continuous criticisms only worsened the situation. Meghan's accusations, ranging from racism to lack of transparency within the royal family, have forced the monarchy into a defensive position, protecting both the family and the institution itself. One of King Charles's significant decisions was to reduce Meghan and Harry's privileges, especially in terms of their participation in royal events. He also called for adjustments to Meghan's interviews and public actions to make it clear that her behavior was no longer acceptable within the framework of the royal family. While this action is seen as necessary to protect the monarchy's reputation, the question remains whether such a harsh response is the only way to maintain the dignity of the monarchy, or if more conciliatory solutions could have been found. It is undeniable that cutting off Meghan's privileges and relationships could cause deep harm not only to Meghan herself, but also to the entire royal family. While Meghan's actions have damaged the royal family's image, is it truly necessary to implement such strict measures? Could King Charles have handled the situation differently without resorting to harsh actions? Could the situation have been resolved through a direct conversation between family members rather than escalating into an irreparable conflict? The answer to this question is not simple. In a family like the British royal family, where rules and traditions have existed for centuries, protecting dignity and honor is of utmost importance. However, did King Charles overreact in responding to Meghan? Some argue that instead of taking a strong confrontational approach, King Charles could have tried to resolve the issue by creating opportunities for reconciliation. But perhaps given the current context, such efforts would only escalate tensions between family members. What's worth contemplating is that as royals, the family faces serious internal issues. The choice between protecting the family and maintaining relationships between members becomes blurred. King Charles's firm measures, while necessary in the context of protecting the royal family's reputation, could also have long-term negative effects. Cutting ties with Meghan may create a void in the family, and perhaps one day, when everything settles down, King Charles might regret not finding another way to resolve this conflict. Not only for King Charles, but for everyone involved in the royal family's life, protecting the family's reputation is crucial. However, is it possible to achieve this without causing serious consequences for those within the family? When a family faces so many storms, finding harmony becomes more difficult than ever. But the bigger question remains, is harshness and decisiveness the only way to protect the royal family? Or is there still a path to reconciliation that King Charles could choose to help the family maintain unity in this challenging time? Looking at the future of Meghan Markle and the British royal family, one cannot help but wonder, will Meghan ever be able to return to the royal family after all the conflicts and scandals she has caused? After stepping away from royal duties, Meghan and Harry shocked the public, creating a deep rift within the royal family. With all the criticism about the scandals and the lack of tolerance from both the public and the family, can Meghan reconcile and seek a place in the royal family again? Predicting Meghan's future is not an easy task. After all that has happened, can she repair her relationship with the royal family? Or has she permanently distanced herself from them? Meghan has continuously criticized the family, and her public sharing of sensitive details about royal life may cost her the opportunity to return. Her statements on issues such as racism and finances have not only harmed her personal image, but have also had a serious impact on her relationship with the royal family. These actions have turned Meghan into a controversial figure, making reconciliation with the family difficult, at least in the short term. Meghan has created a significant distance not only with King Charles, but also with the Queen, the Duke, and Duchess of Cambridge, and many other family members. This makes the question of whether Meghan can return to the royal family incredibly complex. Does Meghan realize that her actions could result in her never being accepted back into the royal fold? A peaceful dialogue with honesty and acknowledgement of her mistakes could be the only chance to rebuild this relationship. However, one undeniable factor is the long-lasting impact these events have had on both Meghan and the royal family. Meghan's past actions have left a deep wound in the royal family, a wound that may be difficult to heal, not only for the royal family, but also for Meghan's image in the eyes of the public. Her continuous criticism has caused the public to lose trust in her, while the royal family can no longer maintain their relationship in silence. It can be said that Meghan is now carving her own path with media deals and public engagements. She appears to be building her own career and seeking influence through the organizations and humanitarian campaigns she is involved in. However, will these events continue to impact Meghan's reputation in the future? When someone chooses a public life like Meghan, they cannot avoid public scrutiny. If her actions continue to be controversial, can she maintain her career and image without creating further rifts in the public's perception? Meghan and the royal family are both bound by the long-term effects of this crisis. Whether Meghan continues her path or seeks reconciliation, the royal family will never return to the way it was before everything unfolded. What are the long-term effects of Meghan's actions on her life and the royal family? The division within the royal family will not be easily healed and may continue to erode the monarchy's image in the public's eyes. However, if Meghan finds a way to amend her actions and acknowledges her mistakes, there may still be a chance for reconciliation. While it will not be easy for Harry to maintain closeness with the royal family, this has now become a more complicated issue than ever before. While he has always expressed love and loyalty to his family, Meghan's actions may force him to choose between his wife and his family. Can Harry maintain a peaceful relationship with the royal family when his wife continues to publicly criticize them, or will he decide that no matter what happens, Meghan will always be the one to stand by him first? These questions remain unanswered. The future of Meghan and the British royal family remains a topic of intense public interest. This crisis has not only altered the relationship between Meghan and the family, but also deeply impacted the royal family's image in the eyes of the world. Will there ever be a day when everything settles that we will witness reconciliation, or will this always be an irreparable rift? Thank you for watching today's video. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on the latest videos. Share your thoughts on the actions of Meghan Markle and King Charles in the comments below. What do you think about their future in the royal family? Leave your answer, and let's discuss together. See you in the next video. At the BET Awards, under the spotlight and with thunderous applause, Tyler Perry not only received an honor but also left Hollywood stunned. He shared a story that had never been made public. Meghan Markle once lived in his mansion, receiving his financial security and legal support when she left the royal family. But in return, she silently left without a word of thanks, without a backward glance, only to later use his name for her private, opaque projects. That revelation wasn't just a personal crack, it ignited a collective retreat. Names that once stood by Meghan began to fall silent. Million-dollar contracts became meaningless, and the image of the brave woman standing up against the royal establishment was now under scrutiny. Was it the true story or just a performance that had gone too far? If you find this story interesting, leave a comment with the number 1. If not, leave a comment with the number 0. Don't forget to share the video, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any exciting videos. Now let's dive into the story. Oprah Winfrey, who once opened the global media door for Meghan, immediately fell silent. Entertainment companies turned their backs, and those who once competed to work with the American Duchess gradually stepped away, even blocking all communication. The name Meghan Markle was no longer mentioned in internal meetings. A painful question echoed backstage in Hollywood. Could this be the biggest failure of the decade? Who is Meghan Markle really beneath the inspiring exterior and the victim narrative that has moved millions? Discover the full truth through Tyler Perry's revelation in the video below. At the 2025 BET Awards night at the Peacock Theater in Los Angeles, a glamorous evening where Black artists gather to honor the names that have changed culture and history. Flashbulbs, designer dresses, laughter, champagne, but no one expected the silence that filled the room as Tyler Perry stepped onto the stage. There was no grand entrance, no music. He walked up in a black suit, carrying nothing but the truth spoken in a hoarse voice with a heart full of bitterness. A few years ago, Perry recalled, "I received a call not from a producer or a star, but from a famous woman confused and terrified. She said, 'I don't know where to go, I don't know who's still with me.'" The entire room fell silent. Without needing to mention a name, everyone knew it was the Duchess Meghan Markle. She severed ties with the royal family to pursue freedom, only to be caught in an unrelenting media storm. When Meghan and Prince Harry were cut off from funding and royal security, they were almost completely isolated with no safe haven, pursued by the press and paparazzi day and night. I was the one who extended a helping hand. I chartered a private jet to bring them from Canada, invited them to hide in my million-dollar mansion in Beverly Hills. A secluded estate with strict security, a place even A-list stars would have trouble getting into. I told her, "This is your home, Harry, and the kids can stay as long as they need. I'll take care of everything." He said, "The food service and security were all funded by Perry. No contracts, no conditions, no expectations. I did it because I believe no one should live in fear just for being themselves. I've slept in cars before I understand that feeling." The audience began to clap, but that wasn't the climax. Perry took a deep breath and said, "I've been silent for many years, but now I have to speak the rest." The atmosphere grew heavy. "I thought I was saving a friend, but I didn't realize I was enabling a manipulator." Perry paused, then continued. At first I thought they needed help to get back on their feet, but then I realized they weren't getting up, they were sitting comfortably with someone else paying all the bills. It was no longer the behavior of someone in need, but of people who knew how to exploit kindness as a luxury service. According to Perry, Meghan began requesting a personal chef or a temporary stylist to help her look better during live broadcasts about her struggles. But the last straw came when she asked to borrow Perry's private helicopter to fly around town with Harry to relieve stress and avoid the paparazzi. Perry bluntly refused and said, "I'm not your personal pilot, this is not a vacation package, this is generosity." As a result, Meghan became cold throughout the night, retreating to her room, and from the following day, she barely greeted or spoke to anyone in the mansion. Her behavior changed drastically after moving in with Perry. She treated the staff as if they were beneath her, yelling at the chef for the food quality, and had security guards stand at the gate for 10 hours just to ensure her privacy. I made the staff cry after she humiliated them for folding napkins the wrong royal way. Perry spoke in a steady yet firm voice, each word piercing the image of the modern Duchess that Meghan had built, increasingly casting doubt on Meghan and Harry. Tyler Perry began to reconsider the expenses he had covered for the couple who constantly claimed they were cash-strapped. They delayed payments for their immigration lawyer, armed security fees, and even personal shopping costs at his house. Tyler Perry revealed that Meghan Markle and Harry owe him hundreds of thousands of dollars, including several deferred fees that they never repaid. They promised to return the money once they had a deal with Netflix, but that never happened. While Meghan and Harry developed numerous projects like books and podcasts, no one ever asked, "Tyler, how much do we still owe you?" This deeply hurt Perry. This deeply hurt. What hurt the most was that Meghan ignored all of his calls and messages after leaving his home, offering no explanation, no thank you, not even a simple Christmas card. He had sheltered them for nearly 3 months, but in the end, all he received was cold, utter silence. Perry's voice, as he recounted this, was filled with bitterness and disappointment. The biggest shock came months later when Perry read in the news that Meghan and Harry had purchased a $21 million mansion in Montecito, California, a luxury area where billionaires like Oprah, Ellen DeGeneres, and Gwyneth Paltrow reside. He sat there holding a cup of coffee, unable to believe that they owned such an expensive home, while still not paying a single penny of the money they owed him. They had sat in his living room saying they were bankrupt, had no money, and the banks refused to work with them. Perry had once believed that. But now he wondered, where did they get such a large sum of money? This made him feel deeply betrayed. Perry tried to reach out to Meghan privately through messages and phone calls, but received no response. Meghan seemed to disappear until she needed to appear at an event or use Perry's name to promote her projects. On one occasion, she even sent her manager to request funding for a documentary about their new life, but when Perry asked to see the script, they backed out. Perry's voice trembled as he shared that it felt like he was only remembered when people needed his support, not for true friendship. The manipulation of his kindness went on for so long that he had to do the unthinkable, ask Meghan and Harry to leave his home. On stage, holding the microphone, he bluntly declared, "You can't build a palace on unpaid bills." The entire room fell into a prolonged silence. No one expected the person Meghan once called her greatest benefactor to be the one to publicly reveal this bitter truth. There was no anger or theatrics, just a weary, exhausted expression visible in every line of his face. As he stepped off the stage, the audience rose to their feet and applauded in appreciation. The sound of applause was not just a warning, but a bell signaling the end of what once seemed like a beautiful story. A story that had moved the world, now shattered. Even when Tyler Perry, their first friend and protector, had to draw the line, there was no doubt left he was exposing their exploitation of kindness. For years, Perry had supported, gifted, and backed them unconditionally, but according to sources, none of that money was ever repaid. This truth came as a massive shock, raising many questions about the darker sides behind the glimmer of Meghan and Harry's public image. It wasn't just Tyler Perry. At the BET Awards, where the most powerful stars of the Black community gathered, an eerie silence unexpectedly took over. Oprah Winfrey, who had once shown immense support for Meghan Markle, made no mention of her throughout the evening. Meghan was absent, unacknowledged, and nearly disappeared from every backstage conversation. This silence in the American media was never accidental. Meghan, who once sat across from Oprah in the shocking 2021 interview, had shed tears on national television. She was once likened to Cinderella being rejected by the royal family, but now she has been crossed off the priority list of the Queen of interviews. According to insider sources from Harpo Productions, the name Meghan Markle has completely disappeared from content meetings for over 6 months. This has been a quiet but intentional erasure. We can't forget that it was Oprah who elevated Meghan to cultural icon status, with the 2021 interview attracting over 17 million viewers worldwide. That interview ignited a wave of debate about racism within the British monarchy and turned Meghan into a new feminist icon. However, behind the spotlight, doubts began to emerge. Media advisors and some who had worked with the royal family started whispering that Meghan's story wasn't entirely truthful from the start. Oprah's team maintained a neutral stance, believing Meghan's account, and continued to support her with various media opportunities. But Meghan didn't stop there. She began asking for financial support for brand projects, asking Oprah to connect her with investors, and even tried to borrow a private helicopter to shoot a documentary for Netflix. When she was turned down due to a scheduling conflict, Meghan immediately became distant and slowly cut off the relationship in a cold, calculated manner. The bond that once seemed forged in steel between her and Oprah ultimately shattered beyond repair. Gayle King, Oprah's longtime friend and also the one who connected Meghan with CBS, also chose silence. She no longer wrote supportive articles for Meghan, nor did she have coffee chats backstage at talk shows. Meghan had now become someone no one wanted to be associated with, a figure once closely protected, now carrying the weight of media scrutiny that no producer dared to touch. Oprah has not made any public statements or comments about Meghan, but her silence is strategic. In American media, Oprah's silence is the final judgment. Meghan, who was once a prized guest on the exclusive OWN list, now has no place in Hollywood. This is the clearest sign that Meghan has become a burden. Think about this logically. Meghan was once at the center of a global cultural moment. She was a divorced woman of color who joined the British royal family, broke norms, and became a global symbol of courage, defiance, and soft power. She garnered the empathy of millions using her royal title as a platform and received full support from the American media. However, all of that is now just a memory. A loud memory, but one that is slowly fading. Media companies are turning their backs. Meghan Markle, once the most sought-after media bomb on the planet, was not a movie star or a music icon, but a self-proclaimed princess who dared to shatter the glittering illusion of the British royal family and bring the story of injustice, racism, and oppression to light. Media giants like Netflix and Spotify plunged into the royal fire like moths to a flame. Now all that remains is ash. Netflix, the content empire that once hailed Meghan and Harry as modern royalty, signed a multi-million-dollar deal with them but now can't even dare to mention her name. The animated project Pearl, where Meghan poured all her dreams of feminizing history, was abruptly canceled before a single scene was filmed. The TV show Meghan hoped would inspire audiences completely flopped with no viewers and no one remembering it. The documentary series about Harry and Meghan, once hyped as a blockbuster revealing the truth, was also sharply criticized by Rolling Stone. Goop Meat Suits lost its appeal, becoming nothing more than an endless stream of luxurious complaints that left listeners exhausted. Spotify couldn't maintain the long-term project after investing $20 million into Meghan Markle's podcast Archetypes. The project lasted just one season and ended with a cold contract termination, leaving many shocked. A senior executive even publicly mocked Meghan during a press conference, raising serious doubts about her ability to inspire. In reality, Meghan wasn't the one creating the podcast. She merely hosted a workshop on narcissism, which sparked a lot of controversy. The room where the workshop took place was filled with laughter, but on social media, those laughs spread like a sharp blade, piercing the already fragile image of Meghan. Top media companies like WME and CAA, once strategic partners vying to represent the American Duchess, are now silent, no longer responding to emails or organizing pitch meetings for her. Netflix, which once signed a multi-million-dollar deal with Meghan and Harry, has also stopped mentioning her name in any of their projects, with not even a public defense for the Duchess who once made media history. In the public relations world, Meghan Markle is now seen as a risk factor that any company would hesitate to collaborate with. While she possesses star power and widespread influence, no one dares to touch her like a royal grenade with the pin pulled, always carrying the potential to explode. This has created a tense atmosphere in the American media and Hollywood, making Meghan's media career more challenging than ever before. The biggest media shock isn't over yet. Leaks about Meghan's massive debts, desperate emails asking for help, and accusations that she attempted to borrow Tyler Perry's private helicopter for travel, asked friends to buy a mansion, or pleaded for special security measures at personal events are being publicly exposed on platforms like Reddit, TikTok, and Twitter. Old videos are being dug up, every tiny detail, every tear from the past is being widely shared, driving the public wild and sparking an unrelenting wave of fierce debates. Not only that, but this information has severely damaged Meghan's image, shaking the trust of her fans and former partners. The story of a beloved and protected Duchess has now become a testament to the fractures in the entertainment and media world. The media now views Meghan not just as an icon, but as a symbol of collapse and failure, forcing her to face an uncertain and challenging future in both her career and personal life. From the groundbreaking interview with Oprah Winfrey in 2021, Meghan Markle was once at the center of attention and seen as a new, inspiring feminist icon. However, her image has now been completely reversed, becoming a topic of mockery and controversy across social media. One user bitterly commented, "She once said she couldn't afford skin cream for her child, and now she's living in a $21 million mansion." Hashtags like #Meghan the Fraud, Royal Fraudster, and the Television Duchess spread everywhere, turning Meghan from an icon into the focal point of fierce attacks. Toxic comments have compared her to controversial figures like Jessie Smollett and Elizabeth Holmes, making Meghan's image more fragile and vulnerable than ever. She is no longer seen as a source of inspiration, but rather as a case study on how trust and reputation can be abused and disastrously destroyed. While Hollywood traditionally worships truth and authenticity, Meghan is now viewed as a symbol of fakery, something the entertainment industry cannot accept. Those who once supported and protected her like Oprah Tyler Perry and Gayle King have now quietly stepped back with no more explanations or supportive appearances. Gone are the heartfelt speeches, the dazzling spotlights, and the carefully orchestrated background music that once framed Meghan's image. She is now like a leading actress, forgotten on stage with no director or producer willing to collaborate, slowly becoming an isolated figure in the very world where she once was at the center. Meghan's life now feels like a nightmare. A dream that once seemed beautiful has turned into an obsession. There are no more close friends, no producers willing to invest, and no one who wants to represent her or sign contracts with her. Hollywood has closed its doors to her not because she failed in the arts, but because she has burned all the valuable bridges herself, losing the trust and support of those who were once her greatest allies. What makes it most brutal is that no one cares about the real reasons behind this downfall anymore. In the entertainment world, where everyone can make mistakes, one thing that is absolutely unforgivable is calculated fakery. Meghan Markle, the royal daughter-in-law who once walked out of Windsor Castle with dazzling spotlights and thousands of eyes on her, now stands alone in the media desert with no microphone, no lights, and no one willing to listen to her voice. Once holding media power and influential allies, Meghan's downfall was exposed publicly and has become more unforgettable than anyone else's. This story has turned into a valuable lesson about the fragility of reputation, the isolation that comes with losing trust, and the harsh reality of the entertainment industry, where today you can be a hero, but tomorrow you might become an outsider. If you found this story intriguing and want to dive deeper, don't forget to share the video and leave your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any of our upcoming content. And let's keep the story going together. It didn't explode like a loud scandal, but quietly and slowly collapsed step by step like a castle that seemed solid but had its foundations pulled out from beneath. Meghan Markle not only lost the support of the media and former allies, but she also stands before a cold Hollywood, where no producer wants to capitalize on her story anymore. They understand that any project involving Meghan will bring no profit, only trouble. The news that Oprah Winfrey, who was once a crucial midwife to Meghan's media career, severed all ties with her felt like a heavy slap for Oprah, was the center behind her resounding success. According to close sources, Meghan erupted in fury upon hearing this news. She insisted that she no longer needed Oprah and would build her own empire. Her anger was not only directed at Oprah, but also at Tyler Perry, the man who once generously opened his multi-million-dollar mansion in Beverly Hills for Meghan and Prince Harry to stay paid for security costs, provided a private jet, and offered legal support. However, when Perry publicly expressed his disappointment over their lack of gratitude and responsibility, Meghan reacted strongly, accusing him of exaggerating the truth to boost his own image behind her back. Despite being abandoned by many major media outlets, Meghan refused to give up. After her contracts with Netflix and Spotify were cut, she signed with WME and launched a new podcast project with confident determination, declaring, "I am the voice that women need." The project was heavily promoted, sparking curiosity within the media and public. However, soon after, an icy silence took over, and the podcast quickly sank without leaving a trace. Listeners described it as a narcissistic monologue lacking compelling guests and failing to engage with attention-grabbing topics. In less than a month, the sponsors quietly pulled out and fell silent, causing the project to quickly fail. Not stopping there, Meghan continued to bet on a documentary titled Self-Healing, a project she was hopeful about to tell her story and inspire the audience. However, when the script was sent to A24, they outright rejected it, citing a large ego and a lack of emotional depth. An insider even revealed that Meghan's lack of authenticity and excessive focus on herself made the project unable to move forward. Isolation and failure have become increasingly evident in Meghan Markle's journey to rebuild her career and image. From a feminist icon and the voice of young women worldwide, she has now become a pariah, a media bomb that exploded and shattered. Hollywood closed its doors to her not because she failed naturally, but because she burned every bridge herself, making others unwilling to associate or collaborate with her. In the competitive and superficial world of entertainment, there is no room for calculated deceit, and Meghan has become a symbol of that. She now stands alone in the media desert with no microphone, no spotlight, no audience, and no allies. Once a holder of media power surrounded by allies, this downfall has become more painful and public than ever before. Meghan Markle's story is unlike those of other fallen stars. It is the collapse of an icon that was once inflated to extremes, now serving as a cautionary tale about how trust and reputation can be catastrophically abused in the world of modern entertainment and media. Meghan continuously blames the producers, the elite industry, and the bias of the American media, but never once stops to ask herself, is it because the content itself isn't compelling? Despite still trying to present herself as independent and resilient when she appeared at a charity event to talk about rebirth and inner voice, this time, there were no press entourages. The cameras were not focused on her, but instead on fresh faces, less controversial, less dramatic. Producers now prioritize individuals with lasting appeal rather than names that make noise for a moment and then vanish. The 2021 interview with Oprah was once the pinnacle, creating a media universe at Meghan Markle's feet, but now she walks in silence. Her arrogance, habit of manipulation, and constant blaming have led to everything crumbling. Hollywood, though glamorous, remains the harshest battleground. As the spotlight fades, only forgotten and fallen names remain. Not only is she facing the indifference of the media and backstage rumors, but Meghan is also confronted with a much larger, more serious crack, a financial scandal that could completely topple her from the cultural throne she once built. At the center of the storm is the Archwell Foundation, the nonprofit organization founded by Meghan and Harry after they left the royal family with a promise to elevate compassion. Archwell was once used as a tool for Meghan to brand herself as a woman of action for the community in every campaign. However, now auditors view the foundation as a shady front where goodwill has been exploited for reckless financial gain. According to leaked documents confirmed by Bloomberg, over $2.3 million was spent last year on operational costs, yet there were no clear relief programs or specific impact reports. Instead, there were just a few short podcast episodes, some vague blog posts, and images of Meghan in luxurious designer outfits attending community-related events. Many experts no longer use the term poor management, but have shifted to calling it the exploitation of a charity fund for personal gain. In fact, a group of media service providers who had worked with Archwell were also extremely upset. A public relations company in Los Angeles stated that they were owed over $80,000 for 5 months without payment. After several threats of legal action, they finally received the money. This situation has raised doubts about the transparency and ethics of the organization's operations, further damaging Meghan's image in the eyes of the public and potential donors. An executive shared with Daily Wire that the situation was even worse when they discovered that Meghan had used Archwell Foundation funds to pay for her personal stylist, makeup artist, and even aromatherapy services at the office. Whenever an online wave of criticism erupted, these payments were immediately frozen, as if the Archwell team was panicking, reacting to each tweet. Internal operations are now under such close scrutiny that a leaked email revealed that in a meeting in March, a financial director warned that personal expenses needed to be separated from the main fund. According to insider sources, Meghan ignored this warning and saw it as a personal attack. A former employee revealed that Meghan bluntly said, "This is my organization, I do what I want." That statement left those in the room stunned. It not only displayed her determination, but also revealed a strong level of control while simultaneously raising deep concerns within the leadership team of Archwell. Worse yet, California's tax authorities are starting to take notice. Under state law, using nonprofit assets for personal purposes, even if disguised under the guise of media consulting or brand promotion, could be classified as a violation of nonprofit governance laws. A lawyer specializing in federal litigation remarked, "If the IRS gets involved, this could turn into a major investigation. This not only threatens the foundation's credibility, but could also lead to severe penalties if it is determined that the funds were misused." Meanwhile, Meghan's media value, once measured in millions of views per event, is quickly evaporating. Media outlets that once fought for engagement with her are now beginning to remove Meghan from their editorial calendars. People magazine, which once hailed her as Cinderella in Hollywood, has canceled a series of articles related to her fearing backlash from readers. An anonymous editor confirmed, "No one wants to touch Meghan right now, she's become a lightning rod for controversy." Inside the Archwell Foundation, there are even stronger warning signs. At least 4 mid-level employees left in the first quarter, causing significant disruptions to operations. Cold emails and memos demanding urgent strategic changes are circulating throughout the office. A former employee stated that Archwell is trying to reposition itself before any external investigations force them to explain. An internal manager revealed to the Wrap that no one knows what Meghan wants anymore. One day it's a talk show, the next day it's a documentary on mental health, but none of the projects ever go anywhere. According to Business Insider, the PR company that once represented her is now solely focused on damage control, attempting to manage the scandals to limit leaks. But all efforts are like using tissue paper to block a tsunami. Meghan's reputation didn't collapse from one misstep, but from a series of significant mistakes to the point where no PR company could salvage it. The damage to Meghan goes beyond a few negative tweets. It has turned into a permanent loss of credibility before content investors, charity partners, and the global public. Meghan is no longer seen as a misunderstood victim, but as someone manipulating the narrative, promising but not delivering, always ready to place blame. Even her marriage, once a media shield with Prince Harry, is now cracking under the public's gaze. Every appearance they make is scrutinized to the point where body language experts turn them into subjects of analysis. The fan base no longer stands by their side, they quietly watch, waiting for the next surprise. What isn't surprising is that they quickly predicted the collapse and the exposure of the money trail. Every transaction in the PR system is now as clear as crystal. Both Wells Fargo and First Republic, 2 major banks, are said to have detected suspicious money transfers from Meghan's business account advisor, along with enormous unexplained expenditures, delayed paperwork, and poor management. Despite still possessing a massive fortune, Meghan may be facing the risk of running out of both finances and reputation. The news about the financial scandal has led to her being removed from the priority list of the Windsor family, a clear sign of distancing from royal power and patronage. The severe decline in trust makes any future projects challenging, as those who once vied to work with her now steer clear. The British royal family has not spoken out to defend or counter the accusations. Instead, they have chosen their typical response: coldness and silence. All internal signs from the palace indicate that Meghan and Harry have been pushed out of the sphere of influence, no longer considered part of the Windsor family. This is not just a media standstill, but the end of their royal status and the soft power they once held. King Charles, who once hoped for reconciliation within the family, now no longer mentions Prince Harry in advisory meetings, nor does he make calls, send texts, or inquire about his well-being. According to sources from Clarence House, the king is considering adjusting the succession documents to narrow down the royal list, and Harry and his family have clearly been removed from that protective circle. This marks a significant step in separating the official line of succession. Prince William, the brother who once stood by Harry during many difficult moments, now maintains a strict distance. No more invitations to meet, no embraces of reconciliation, no sympathetic glances. Kensington Palace, once the shared home of the two brothers, now resembles a fortress, unwelcoming to the one seen as a traitor. In internal palace documents, the phrase "reputation risk" is now associated with the Sussex name, leaving everyone to understand the unspoken meaning behind the silence. The royal family's cold silence is clearly more terrifying than any accusation. This isn't a punishment, but an exclusion, a lethal blow. Meghan, who once stepped onto the media ladder with dreams of changing history, is now nothing more than a shadow standing outside the royal family's walls of history. Meanwhile, Harry, once the Prince of Wales, is evolving into a symbol of change, but he no longer controls this narrative. Prince Harry is no longer invited to traditional events. His name has been removed from the line of succession, and he is no longer even given a seat at royal funerals, as the palace has chosen a future without him in it. Close advisors to King Charles have stated that the king does not view this as a family conflict, but as an institutional issue. When Harry voluntarily stepped down from his royal role but continued to use his title to gain media influence, it ceased to be a personal matter. The British royal family is even considering excluding Harry and Meghan from any official plans for the next decade. This is not just a separation, but a historic move that reflects a determination to protect the institution. King Charles now stands at the center, ensuring that the royal image remains unaffected by names that were once favored, but are now standing outside the core of power and influence. They no longer hold any role, any influence, or any place on the power map of Windsor. In that delicate yet harsh space, Meghan Markle is being pushed further away each day, step by step, with every turned-back glance from those who once saw her as an icon. But the most painful part isn't the coldness of the media, it's the silence of Harry himself. No more passionate statements, no more open letters to the public, just a man quietly walking behind his wife, witnessing the world slowly close the door he was born to walk through. At this point, the royal family's coldness is no longer a momentary reaction. It is a clear message, a wordless statement, but one that echoes loudly, "We have made our decision. The final gate has closed." Meghan and Harry are now nothing more than the remnants of an overstaged dream, a media script filled with bright lights, slogans of justice, feminism, and modern freedom. But no matter how bright the spotlight, it can no longer hide the truth. The audience has left their seats. Old allies Oprah, Tyler Perry, Gayle King have now chosen to stay silent. Former sponsors no longer maintain contact. Netflix, Spotify, and even friendly news outlets like People have stopped mentioning Meghan. She is no longer a hit, no longer a sought-after media asset. The woman who once secured million-dollar deals now faces the consequences of the very story she told, a story that no one wants to hear anymore. Not because it lacks emotional impact, but because it has lost credibility. The question now is, where does Meghan Markle go from here? Can she rebuild a fallen empire starting again from the ruins on a flooded, shaky foundation? Or is this the end, not a spectacular fall, but a quiet disappearance down the cold hallways of Hollywood? No one is brave enough to bet on a brand that has completely lost its credibility. And perhaps the most frightening thing is no one even cares anymore whether she comes back or not. This is not just a closing chapter, but a full stop for a media campaign that once shook the world. The earthquake named Meghan Markle didn't explode, it slowly sank piece by piece. But make no mistake, its aftershocks remain in financial investigations, in resurfaced video clips, and in a cautionary tale. Hollywood will never forget about a woman who once had the whole world in her hands but lost it all, believing the spotlight would never go out. If you believe the truth deserves to be heard even when it's not pretty glamorous or sometimes makes us uncomfortable, don't forget to like and share this video so more people can see the picture behind the spotlight. And be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates and the ongoing stories shaking Hollywood, where fame can build an empire but can also collapse in the blink of an eye. Thanks for watching the whole video, and see you in the next one. It's hard to believe, but it's completely true. Meghan Markle's unexpected absence from a series of recent major royal events has taken both the media and the public by surprise. Just when it seemed she was gradually stepping back into the spotlight, a small detail in one of her past public statements was revealed to be inaccurate, and everything began to shift. One of the most talked about moments was the memorial for Queen Elizabeth II on June 4, 2025, held at St. George's Chapel. Meghan was completely absent, even though just a week earlier she had been in London for a key meeting about a major media project. So what really happened? Was it simply a personal choice, or the consequence of a sensitive behind-the-scenes revelation? Don't forget to leave a comment with the number 1 if you sympathize with Meghan Markle, or 0 if you have a different opinion. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next, where we'll be uncovering every hidden detail behind this story. Things began to change gradually, not through official press releases, but through small yet noticeable changes. These changes didn't require official confirmation, but they served as the clearest and most tangible evidence of a shift in Meghan's relationship with the royal family. Initially, Meghan stopped appearing at major royal events, as she once did. While there was no official explanation for her absence, it created a noticeable void in the royal family's public activities, especially in events where she had always been present before. Furthermore, her name no longer appeared in official royal communications, indicating a clear and deliberate detachment. Although there was no public statement made, this absence became a clear sign of the shifting dynamics between Meghan and the monarchy, more apparent than ever before. At the Queen Elizabeth II memorial event, Meghan Markle's name initially appeared on the VIP guest list. However, shortly after her name was crossed out and replaced with the notation TUR, unconfirmed guest. This move, confirmed through the royal family's official digital platforms, is a significant sign. Although no public announcement was made, it is clear that Meghan was excluded from this important event, and it seems to indicate that she has been systematically excluded from all internal royal activities. This only further underscores the growing detachment between her and the royal family. In June 2025, all information about Meghan Markle in the royal family's public records was notably reduced. Previously, her name was not only included in major charity events, but was also a crucial part of royal-backed initiatives. Meghan had been one of the prominent figures in public campaigns, especially in charitable activities with many influential organizations. However, this significant change has clearly marked a separation between her and the royal family. Now, only her old titles, her wedding date to Prince Harry, and the names of their children remain without any reference to the charity work she had been involved in. The links to organizations and initiatives she had supported are completely removed. This is not just the removal of her name from events, but also the elimination of any references to her speeches and involvement with the Royal Foundation, an organization she co-founded. Even the section about the Sussex Fund was moved to the bottom of the page and is no longer listed among the organizations supported by the royal family. Even the section about the Sussex Fund was moved to the bottom of the page and is no longer part of the list of organizations supported by the royal family. A major and impactful change occurred in June 2025 concerning Archwell, the non-profit organization founded by Meghan and Harry. For over 3 years, Archwell had maintained an honorary partnership with the royal family, which allowed the organization to use the royal emblem in its international media activities. This partnership helped Archwell effectively connect with global charitable initiatives gaining public attention and support. However, on June 3, 2025, an official notice from Clarence House instructed Archwell to cease using any symbols related to the Crown or the Duke, Duchess of Sussex titles. This move is a significant one, reflecting a shift in how the royal family is managing and controlling relationships with external organizations, particularly when those organizations are directly linked to royal family members. This was not a mere symbolic gesture, but one that carried substantial legal consequences, particularly in terms of international sponsorship relationships, where issues of ownership and royal affiliation could directly impact decisions regarding funding and collaboration. This shift not only holds symbolic value, but also highlights a change in how the royal family is managing relationships with external organizations, especially those involving royal members. On June 17, 2025, a special emergency meeting was convened at the Sandringham estate. This event was widely regarded as a discreet summit aimed at addressing the escalating media threats to the monarchy. It wasn't a regular meeting, but rather an urgent strategic session to safeguard the royal family's reputation and stability against public scrutiny. Notably, Meghan and Harry were not invited, further highlighting the meeting's true purpose, not negotiation, but damage control. Their absence reflected a clear division within the royal family and indicated that all subsequent actions would focus on mitigating the harm caused by the interview. The central focus of the discussion was the infamous interview between Meghan, Harry, and Oprah Winfrey, during which Meghan shocked the public by alleging that a member of the royal family had made comments about her son Archie's skin color. However, despite the widespread attention garnered by this accusation, a report from the Royal Communications Safety Unit indicated that there was no evidence to substantiate the existence of this remark in official meetings. This further complicated the situation, as public debate continued regarding the authenticity of the claims and their impact on the monarchy. The question of the authenticity of the allegations became even more complicated when a former palace aide who had worked closely with Meghan during her early days in Windsor appeared on an independent podcast and shared revealing information. The former staff member disclosed that no racially discriminatory conversations had taken place during the meetings preparing for the birth of Meghan's first child. According to him, if such a conversation had occurred, it certainly would not have happened in front of any internal staff members. His testimony adds complexity to the matter, as it contradicts the details presented in Meghan's interview with Oprah Winfrey, raising further doubts about the veracity of the accusations. When directly asked in a podcast interview, "Do you believe Meghan exaggerated or fabricated that claim?" her assistant paused before responding, "I'm not saying she made it up, but I don't believe the story reflects the reality that people think it does." This response quickly sparked a wave of discussions across British politics and media, opening up a debate about the authenticity of Meghan's previous claims. It further fueled public speculation and ongoing controversy surrounding Meghan's interview with Oprah Winfrey, prompting continued debates about the accuracy and impact of the accusations within the royal context. Following the widespread circulation of this statement, the Times officially requested a fact-check from the Royal Press Office. However, they received a response that disagreed with the claim. A spokesperson for Prince William refused to verify any statements made during the 2021 interview, which stood in sharp contrast to the royal family's previous silence on the matter. Media experts argued that the royal family's response wasn't about the accusations themselves, but rather about the implication that an offensive statement had occurred within the senior royal family's official context and had been formally approved. A misunderstanding arising from an ambiguous story was enough to significantly damage the integrity of the royal institution. A leaked document from Sandringham revealed an urgent memo from the Internal Communications Department which instructed that any involvement from Meghan be put on hold until the external story stabilized. This demonstrated the royal family's caution in handling sensitive media issues, with every move being carefully scrutinized. This action did not require a public statement or the revocation of titles, but rather a systematic separation from official royal activities. The goal was to maintain stability and prevent outside stories from harming the image of the royal family. Media experts have referred to this as a ceremonial loss of credibility, where the public loses trust in the institution they once admired and represented. Meghan, who was once at the center of royal activities, was now excluded from long-term plans of the royal family. The increasing silence and separation became more apparent, creating an unbridgeable distance between her and the remaining family members. Although no public statement was made, this action clearly reflected a strategic decision aimed at protecting the institution and minimizing the negative impact of external stories. Prince William, now considered the most powerful heir to the throne, no longer participates in events alongside Meghan. Royal reporters quickly noticed this shift in William's public schedule, as his engagements no longer overlap with those involving Meghan. For instance, on June 5th, William appeared alone at a charity event at Oxford University, while Harry attended a separate military council on the same day. The clear separation between William's and Meghan's events didn't need further explanation, as both the public and the media understood the division. There was no official statement yet. It was evident that this was a deliberate move by the royal family. After the 2021 scandal, Prince William set firmer boundaries in his relationship with other members of the royal family, particularly with Meghan and Harry. This shift wasn't just a personal decision by William, but also reflected the royal family's policy. The boundaries William has drawn have now become an integral part of the royal family's strategy in handling media issues, as they seek to maintain a stable image and avoid any negative impacts. These decisions, though not officially declared, have made it clear that the separation between royal family members is a policy designed to protect the institution and their reputation. King Charles III, while still maintaining personal contact with his youngest son, has completely cut off administrative ties with Meghan. This became clear through letters from Clarence House to the Archwell Foundation, which no longer used the titles Duke and Duchess of Sussex as they had previously. Instead, these letters are now simply addressed to Harry Mountbatten Windsor. A small but deeply significant change. This move clearly reflects a new strategy by the royal family in managing and delineating administrative relationships, and it asserts that Meghan is no longer considered an official figure within the scope of royal activities. This shift isn't just a change in how letters are addressed. It's also a strong indication that Meghan is no longer recognized in the royal family's administrative functions. While it might not be immediately obvious, this decision sends a clear signal that the royal family wants to maintain distance from Meghan, especially after public controversies and disagreements. It marks a significant turning point in how the royal family is treating Meghan, solidifying the separation between her and official royal activities. From 2020 to 2023, Meghan Markle frequently appeared alongside Harry in strategic meetings with the King's office, despite not holding an official role within the royal family. During this period, Meghan was involved in many important discussions, and her presence helped solidify the couple's image in royal plans. However, her participation was not an official role, but simply part of the strategic meetings that Harry attended to push forward important initiatives and decisions for the future of the royal institution. This represented a form of integration of Meghan into royal activities, even though she did not hold an official title within the royal family structure. However, since May 2025, Meghan has been completely absent from these strategic meetings. A media assistant from Clarence House confirmed that her absence was not an oversight or mistake, but rather a deliberate directive from the royal family. This decision was not unexpected, but was a carefully calculated move aimed at changing the way the royal family interacts with members who no longer fulfill their official duties. In recent strategic meetings, Meghan's name was no longer mentioned, and this absence became even more apparent when the drafts for the 2025 royal transition strategy did not include her. Notably, Meghan's name did not appear in any drafts of the 2025 royal transition strategy, which only listed key representatives such as William, Kate, Princess Anne, and the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester. While Harry's name was still included, it was with limited capacity, but Meghan was entirely absent. A former media advisor from the King's press office stated that her omission from the strategic plan was the final word. According to him, the royal family did not need to issue a public denial. They simply wrote the plan without her involvement. This calculated move was made to protect the integrity of the institution and the nation's reputation, not as a personal vendetta, but as a strategic response to international reputation threats to the royal family. The accusation that Meghan misrepresented a conversation about race was not just a media story, but a serious threat to the royal family's reputation. These allegations sparked public outrage and led people to question the integrity of the royal family members, particularly Meghan and Harry. This is why the royal family did not respond with anger or public criticism, but chose to react in a subtle and calculated manner. They decided not to make any official statements on the issue, instead allowing subtle changes in their actions to convey the message. This move showed that the royal family opted not to directly confront the accusation, but instead let small adjustments in their behavior and practices speak for themselves. Changes to the royal family's official website and the reversal of royal titles in correspondence were made without any public announcement. This was a strategic, subtle, and decisive approach to clarify Meghan's position within the royal family without issuing public statements or engaging in the controversy. Instead, the message was unmistakable. Meghan was no longer part of the royal picture. These changes created a clear distinction between the remaining family members and Meghan, helping to protect the integrity of the royal institution and ending her involvement in official royal activities. As signs of her retreat from royal activities became clearer in June 2025, Meghan attended two political fundraising events in California, one in Santa Barbara and the other in West Hollywood. Both times, she appeared alone without Harry, marking a shift from their previous image as a power couple. A former media advisor at Archwell revealed that Meghan is now rebuilding her personal media team completely separate from the rest of the organization. She has started working with a political branding firm based in the U.S., signaling her focus is shifting to platforms no longer dependent on royal relationships. One of the most notable changes in Meghan's career has been the postponement of her memoir, Meghan the Memoir, which was originally set to be released at the end of 2025. This decision came after Penguin Publishing's legal team requested Meghan to provide verification for several claims related to the royal family, which she was unable to fully comply with. One of the most controversial parts was the description of a conversation between Meghan and a senior royal family member regarding her mental health after childbirth. However, what complicated this story was that no medical staff or media assistants were present during this conversation, raising legal concerns about potential defamation and the lack of evidence to support these claims. These legal concerns led to the memoir being put on hold, and Meghan's royal title was stripped. With the memoir on hold, Meghan now appears to be shifting her focus toward political and social spaces to rebuild her brand. Instead of relying on official royal campaigns, Meghan has started engaging in civil activism and advocating for community issues, thereby re-establishing her personal image. This represents a significant shift, showing that she not only wants to move away from the controversies and pressures of the royal family, but also seeks recognition in other areas where she can have an impact and build a completely new brand. Do you think Meghan is truly repositioning herself in the political and social space, or is this just a temporary strategy amid the chaos? Leave a comment below to share your thoughts, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss what's coming next in Meghan's bold journey to rebuild her personal brand. Meghan Markle no longer controls her own narrative as she once did. In the past, she enjoyed widespread support from the American media, particularly from journalists and the public who admired her as a 21st-century feminist icon. Meghan was praised for her courage in breaking traditional barriers within the royal family and for actively advocating women's rights, becoming an inspiring figure for many. However, recently, that support has started to fracture. Journalists who once enthusiastically backed her are now beginning to question the accuracy of some of her previous statements, sparking waves of skepticism among the public. This shift not only reflects the complexities of managing a personal image in today's media landscape, but also highlights the challenges Meghan faces as her story undergoes intense scrutiny and analysis. Voices that once lauded her for breaking barriers and championing women's rights are now doubting the accounts she shared about her life and experiences within the royal family. This marks a significant turning point in how Meghan is recognized by the media and raises debates about the truthfulness and impact of her public image. The growing division in public opinion has diminished the consensus Meghan once had, posing questions about the long-term effects of the narratives and images she has constructed. From being a widely admired and celebrated icon, Meghan now faces challenges regarding her credibility and the trust of the public, creating a complex and uncertain picture of her role in contemporary society and the media. This loss of control over her own story is not just evident in the media, but also in her public engagement. Archwell's Instagram account, which once boasted a massive following, lost more than 180,000 followers within just 3 weeks. Additionally, the engagement rate on her recent posts has dropped dramatically, signaling a significant shift in how the public views her. These numbers suggest that the once widespread support for Meghan is beginning to wane, and her carefully crafted media presence may not be resonating with audiences the way it used to. The decline in social media engagement is a tangible indicator that Meghan's influence is facing serious challenges. On platforms like Twitter, even some of Meghan's former defenders have begun to ask difficult questions. Many are wondering whether they are supporting a cause that aligns with their values or simply backing an individual for the sake of personal defense. This shift in sentiment reflects the growing complexity of Meghan's public image as people begin to reconsider their support. While she once seemed to have a clear and united backing, the questions surrounding her authenticity and the direction of her message are now more prominent, leaving her media strategy at a crossroads. Meghan has chosen silence, appearing cautiously at events that promote messages about women's rights, education, and mental health, while deliberately distancing herself from anything related to the royal family. Instead of engaging in direct confrontation or debates, she prefers to build her image as a responsible social activist, focusing on positive values and spreading messages for the community. However, this separation unintentionally highlights a reality. Meghan has never openly admitted she no longer holds the symbolic power she once did. Her choice to remain silent and avoid royal-related issues rather than confronting or rebutting them has caused the moral authority she once wielded to start fading. Meghan once used her moral power as a weapon in the fight against an old and rigid institution, creating a significant public impact. But when the royal family responded with silence instead of reactions or disputes, her story gradually lost its appeal and persuasiveness in the public eye. A communications expert explained this phenomenon clearly. When you tell a shocking story but your target remains silent and you keep repeating it, the audience will get tired. The royal family's silence has led the public to gradually lose interest in Meghan's narrative, which in turn means the symbolic power she once had is slowly diminishing. Meghan is no longer seen as the courageous victim who once overcame harsh challenges, yet she has not firmly established herself as an independent and respected activist either. Currently, she is caught in between these two identities, stuck in a precarious transitional phase that, without a sudden turning point, could drag on meaninglessly. This is a difficult state for anyone, especially for someone who once stood at the center of the global stage, where every action and decision is closely scrutinized. This condition not only makes it harder for Meghan to build her personal image, but also can create a sense of silent rejection or being forgotten that is far more subtle than public disapproval. Losing a clear self-definition in the media and in the public's mind can deeply affect her ability to maintain social influence and progress in her endeavors. It is indeed a significant challenge that requires sharp awareness and careful strategy if Meghan hopes to reinvent and strengthen her position in the future. At the same time as Meghan's absence, Prince Harry is facing a complex crisis in his post-royal life. Following the important meeting at Sandringham on June 17th and the memorial service for Queen Elizabeth II on June 4th, Harry decided to stay in the United Kingdom for an additional week instead of immediately returning to the United States as originally planned. During this period, he attended several smaller events related to veteran affairs, a cause he remains deeply committed to since his military service. His involvement in these events reflects his desire to maintain a connection with the values and responsibilities he holds dear. However, what drew the most public attention was Meghan's complete absence despite expectations that the couple would attend a Veterans Recognition Gala together in London. Meghan's no-show sparked much speculation and raised questions about the current state of their relationship. A close friend of Harry's from the military remarked Harry arrived early, stayed late, but it's clear he's not himself. This comment partly reveals the unsettled mood and pressures Harry is facing during this difficult transitional period. Although there is no evidence that Prince Harry endorses or supports Meghan's controversial statements, his stance has caused every move he makes to be scrutinized intensely. It seems Harry has reverted to his old strategy of silence and withdrawal, but this silence carries a different tone. Sources from Clarence House confirm that Harry is still invited to online meetings with royal representatives, but only as an observer and advisor. He no longer participates actively in strategic sessions regarding succession planning or public messaging, indicating that his role and influence within the royal family have significantly diminished. A close aide to King Charles once remarked, "The king has not turned his back on his son, but he knows he cannot keep both." And Harry understands that. This statement partly reflects the complex and difficult reality of Harry's relationship with the royal family. In the draft of the 2025 Royal Transition Strategy, Harry's name still appears but only minimally, mostly within a minor section related to non-core charitable activities. Meanwhile, Meghan is completely absent from any part of the document highlighting the deepening separation between her and the royal family. Harry is currently in a very difficult and complex position. If he publicly supports Meghan, it could mean permanently severing ties with the royal family, a consequence no one desires. However, if he maintains distance and does not speak out in defense of Meghan, he will face heavy criticism for failing to protect his family, making his public image fragile and vulnerable. A communications expert in London explained, "The only way out is silence, but the price to pay is that his public identity gradually fades. This silence, while helping him avoid public disputes, also causes him to lose influence and standing in the media landscape." Some of Harry's close friends in the UK have revealed that his decision to stay longer after the Queen's memorial was not only to attend events, but also to participate in a series of private meetings with two former royal communications advisors. These meetings are seen as signals that Harry is reassessing his role in the current context and may be considering a future path independent of Meghan. This could be the beginning of his journey towards self-autonomy and repositioning himself on the international stage. At present, Meghan is completely absent from major royal events and appears to have been systematically and quietly removed from the royal family's sphere of influence. Her absence from key ceremonies such as memorial services, family gatherings, and important national events, combined with the quiet removal of her name and image from official royal websites, are unmistakable signals of this shift. Additionally, Meghan has lost her roles in several charitable organizations previously aligned with senior members of the royal family positions that once served as symbolic extensions of her duties as the Duchess of Sussex. These developments collectively suggest a deliberate distancing process, indicating that Meghan's connection to the royal family has been significantly diminished in both form and substance. According to a source close to the royal household, Meghan's prolonged absence from recent events is not simply a personal choice, but stems from a serious behind-the-scenes revelation. Specifically, she is said to have made a statement that was not entirely accurate either during a media appearance or in an interview, which caused a breach of trust within the royal family. As a result, she has been excluded from all internal royal activities and no longer holds any official or representative role at royal events. While no public announcement or direct action has been made by the palace, this quiet but firm approach reflects the royal family's determination to protect its image and internal order. Meghan was once seen as the symbol of a new era in the British royal family, a modern woman unafraid to